Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 6.
Yeah.
No robot? No robot?
No.
All right. This is promising. And Dina, I'm going to make you co-host. Oh, I was actually just reflecting with gratitude that this has never happened before like this. That was the most destruction we've ever had. How lucky are we? Just a bunch of lucky ducks. Okay. Welcome, Nancy Oswald. Hello, hello. And Abby Thrasher. Hi, hi, hi. Awesome. I think most of us are back. Okay, let's do it. No more playing games. We're just going to tell some stories. What do you think about this? Yeah. Let's get in there. For our first story this evening, Claire will be, I think, treating us with another installment of something we may already know and love.
I'm gonna do the second. No. What's wrong? What's wrong?
You sound like a robot. Molly, I think the next level is a new Zoom link.
Sarah, can you type that? Okay. So, Dina, when Claire first joined us earlier, she had that sound when she first logged in. And then she went on mute, and then everyone came in, and then the robot came back again, and then we all logged off, and she came back on. Do you think that it is, in fact, the robot alien virus that we all have been hearing about? Do you think her computer might have it?
The RB 2021.
Just being silly. I'm just being very silly. Do you ever get on an elevator and have that moment where you're trying to decide if you should talk or not? And then your name might be Molly Kittle, and you might say something like, wow, elevators are really awkward, aren't they? Which really doesn't help awkwardness in elevators. Okay, that's just a learning moment for all of us. I was feeling a little bit like I was on an elevator. Claire is back. She's coming in.
So was I sounding like a robot?
Yes, but you do not now. So take it away, girl. Take it away. The floor is yours.
Oh, well, I need a second because now I'm all stressy from having to restart my computer.
All right, everybody stand up. Let's all stand up. No, I'm not kidding. Let's do it. Let's stand up. And raise your arms in the air. And feel a little shake. Take it all. Thanks, Dina.
Oh, thanks. That was good. That was helpful.
A little shake off, a little sip of water.
Here we go.
There we go.
Oh, so now I'm out of breath. Oh gosh, I love these first world challenges.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I also have to say, Ray, power to the hair. We got the memo. Okay, so I'm going to give a 2-second recap for those who haven't heard any of the story and those who have, but it was so long ago. I think I was another generation. We have 2 characters, central stage. We've got Jake, the Heffalump, who's large. He's a baby though, but he's still quite big. And then we've got Porcupine, who, as you can imagine, has spikes. Jake was having a drink at the lake pond. He hears the sound, gets curious, goes to the forest, sticks his nose in, and this horrendous sound is coming from a tiny little porcupine. And this part's important because of what happens next. Porcupine was very, very sad, seriously sad, because he'd lost his family playing hide and seek. So now I'm going to set my timer. Okay. Jake decided he wanted to learn more about Porcupine. They're sitting by a pond with great big fish in it that they've been talking to. Porcupine, he began, do all porcupines play hide and seek? Or are there other games that you play? Oh gosh, Porcupine replied, fit to burst with excitement. And other good games to share. And by the way, now completely distracted from his earlier sadness, as he too was rather enjoying this unusual and unexpected company. Oh no, hide and seek is just one of them. It depends which part of the jungle we're in. If we're near a lake, then sometimes we play pretend to be a plant, and we all pretend to be plants. And Heffalump Jake thought this sounded most odd, but did not want to hurt his new friend's feelings. Oh, he said, that sounds fun. Porcupine, missing completely his friend's tolerant tone, added enthusiastically, would you like to play? Would you? Would you? Jake said slightly resignedly, okay, and pulled over to the far edge of the lake that they had now reached. Porcupine jumped off Jake's back, slid down his outstretched leg, and landed with a quiet thud on the slightly hard ground. Undeterred, and head spinning just a little, Porcupine swiftly ran to the side of the lake and stood bolt upright, hands in the air, with a rather strange look on his face. Are you all right? Asked Jake, slightly concerned. Yes, of course I am. I'm being a flower. You must go away. Stop drawing attention to me. Jake sloped off and found his own spot next to the lake, within earshot of Porcupine, and also stood up on 2 legs. Apparently this was being part of a flower. Or rather, apparently this was part of being a flower. He raised his wobbly trunk in a salute and held his ground as still as possible, wondering what should happen next. Out of the corner of his eye, he looked across at Porcupine for a clue, but nothing. Porcupine was just standing there, as still as a statue. Thought Jake. This could last a very long time. If we're both being flowers, then who will find us? Before he'd even had a chance to enter the silence that occurs after a very profound and wise question such as this, they both heard the most almighty scream. A scream so piercing, so high-pitched that the forest shook. Even the leaves turned away to protect their ears. Poor Jake's ears, so large and sensitive, curled up around his face in an effort to keep the sound out, rendering him momentarily blind and disoriented. As he peeked out, he saw Porcupine dash into the foliage, spikes flat against his back, thwacking from side to side in a rather ungainly attempt to run fast. Porcupine! Come back! Don't go near that sound, it'll kill you. However, Porcupine knew that sound all too well. It was his little sister. His family had been playing one of their many other games on the far side of the bushes. And she had gotten hurt. And you really don't want to hear the sound of a hurt baby female porcupine. Not at all. It's designed to scare people off whilst she tries to recover her composure and tend to her wounds all at the same time. A very disarming sound indeed. That's your 5 minutes of the next installment. Oh, cancel. There we go. Has Molly frozen again? I think she might have. She's gone to another dimension. Here she is.
Hi. I'm going to say if anything happens to me for the remainder of the evening, just plod on. Do you know what I mean? Just dance on into the sunset. You all have been here before. Ray, you got the hang of this. Well, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. I'll make my way back. People will fall off. They'll come back. We'll bring a friend. It'll be fine. This is the part where we do reflections. And you can see some of the reflections already in the chat. Yes, we all want more, calling out, I'm being a flower. And if we're both being flowers, who will find us? So a lot of good stuff in the chat. And Wendy, you want to share a verbal?
Yes, I will. I thought that was delightful. Thank you so much for sharing that. There was so many wonderful things in it that I kept jotting down, but pretending to be a plant is just a hysterical concept. And of course, everyone loved them. Even the leaves turned away to protect their ears. Your metaphors just really bring me into the story. I feel everything that's happening. I know what's going on, and emotionally, I'm along for the ride. And a very disarming sound indeed. That's a great ending, and I can't wait to hear more. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, Olga.
Claire. That's how I felt listening to your whole theatrical presentation. I was like a little 5-year-old in Magic Land. It's like so hypnotic, and you're so into it, and the pauses and the suspense. Your joy just ignites my joy.
Thank you, Olga. I love telling you guys stories, this one especially.
It is a delight. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
And I'm putting the lineup again in the chat, just in case I disappear. There it is. And that's a wonderful transition. Olga, you want to share a story? Awesome.
Once upon a time, I was a little girl growing up in Ukraine and dreaming of coming to America one day. My dad would pick me up from gymnastics every night, and we would walk home. And in the winter nights, we would plow through this knee-high snowbanks and the sky would be covered with clouds and heavy snowflakes falling out of the sky onto my hands and my face. And I would look up, and this one time there was a pocket of opening in the sky, and the moon beamed down on me. And I looked at her and I thought, oh, I wonder if kids in America are seeing the same moon tonight. So I ran up to my dad, and I'm all sweaty in my fur hat and my fur coat. I'm like, Dad, are kids in America looking up at the same moon right now? And he's just carrying a sack of potatoes, and he's tired, and he's like, I don't know, keep walking. And we just keep trotting through the snow to get home and cook the potatoes, and I do my homework and go to sleep. But then the magical curtain parted, and my gymnastics team was invited to come to America before the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. And we were supposed to come on a tour for 30 days on the East Coast. When we arrived here, I was in love at first sight with America. And my beautiful American friends, you are. Oh my God, you know what I loved most? While they mini bused us to different schools and churches, and we did our ribbon dances and the hula hoop and the bowl, I did rhythmic gymnastics. It's really popular in Eastern Europe. It's very dancey. Oh yeah. And between our performances, they would take us to what to me was gastronomical theme parks. The American people called them grocery stores. You will not believe, I was like Alice in the Wonderland. I was asking strangers to take photos of me to send to my parents. Like, Mom, Dad, look, this is me and 12 kinds of bread. Mom, Dad, look, this is the ice cream American kids eat. It was literally another planet. And then even something more amazing happened. This American family that was hosting us sat us down and said, look, if you would like to stay in America, learn English, go to school, we would help you. Yeah, girls staring up at the moon. I could not believe what I was hearing. So I called my parents and I said, Mama, Papa, I'm not coming back. And my dad, serious as ever, you know, you're an adult now. You've got to take care of yourself and work really hard to earn your keep. My mom, she just wailed into the phone. America stole my only child. She cried for 3 years. I was 14 years old. I started a new life here. Most of the girls went back to Ukraine. I stayed. I went to school, learned English. And the American family who took me in, they were amazing. They really took me in. There was one other girl that stayed with me. There are 2 of us. They basically adopted us as their own. They lived on a big house with a pool on a hill in North Carolina. I couldn't believe the kind of life coming from potato sacks and walking in the snow in Ukraine and living on the top of a hill with all the abundance. But I must admit, after the first 6 months of Alice in the Wonderland magic, shit hit the fan. I got really confused in here. I don't know if any of you have ever been an immigrant to any other part of the world or have known an immigrant. It's no little thing to be between 2 places and actually belong nowhere. because I didn't quite belong in America yet. I didn't really speak the English, didn't understand. In Ukraine, my gymnastics coach, she had lost the nationals, and she had blamed my friend and I who stayed for, she blamed us for defecting, that we compromised the team. And she had this big article in the newspaper of like stabbed in the back with a knife. And so I was so confused with, I couldn't go back there anymore. I didn't quite belong here. It was so interesting. Like there was this always anxiety of like, I'm a nobody here. They can deport me anytime, which they tried years later. And that's another story for another bedtime. But what happened was the American people, again, like my sweet American family, they just loved me up through this confusion of not belonging, of being in the limbo. And I felt so scared of the coach. The reconciliation came at last, though, the following year of all this anguish inside of me that I betrayed my team. My coach did come to the Atlanta Olympics. Her daughter did win the gold. I was there. The coach hugged us and she cried and all was forgiven, and like a weight lifted off my shoulders. And it was like a new beginning. I retired from gymnastics, went off to college, started telling stories, and here we are now. This is just a little bit of how I came to be in front of you right now, and I'm so grateful. May, if you ever find yourself in any transition in life where you have let go of one trapeze and you have not yet landed onto the other, and you're suspended in between, and your identity has shed, and you're like this snake with your belly to belly with the earth and not knowing what the hell is going on. Deep breaths. We're being taken care of. The kindness of people around us and our own goodness leads the way. And may your way be paved with the love in your own heart. So far, we've made it here, and we make it further.
There is no end to this story, no final blow or glory. Love came here and never left.
Woo! Olga, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was so fun to watch the reflections bubbling up and the repetition of phrases that people clung to and tickled and played with and captured. Anybody have anything to add to that beautiful ongoing text reflect chain with their verbal reflection? Sarah.
Olga, for me, I love that your story started and ended with magic.
Well said, Sarah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Lisa Clapper.
It was so good, and like the joy in your telling it, even in like the embodiment of the characterizations of your parents and the Alice in the Wonderland and just like I mean, I can picture everything. And I'm just like so joyful to hear your experience, and also knowing that it wasn't like perfect makes it so much more like poignant and real. Thank you, Olga.
Thanks, Lisa. And everything connecting back to the heart. Yeah. Thank you for the way you closed that moment too, to bring us into your heart and see our own journey through yours. That was really special. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Olga. And who wants to clap for Lisa Clapper? I do. Lisa.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a poem about a friend. I'll just read it. How about that? Let's do that. All right. He leaped. She crawled. He leaped. She sprawled. Those wings beat against our chests. So close, so close, so close to the vest. Cold cocked, sun blocked, world rocked. A line drawn in the sand. We have no plan. Being mortal, large print, a case of you, adjacent to how animals grieve. 3 days before, or maybe 4, you never know. You never know when it's the last time. Going to be, it just hits you hard or soft. In the reflection you see. How do you count? How do you count? In hopeful chicken ice cream purchases? Buy all 4. In creamy chicken licks, straight from pouches, sticky with. In water dishes, raised up. In new ones placed right next to food. Fuck whoever says that's not good. This is real time living. Feel time dying. Closer is what she needs to feed. Can you read? Can you read the room? Can you read the room? How do you count? In chins cupped, in eyes gazed, in the just in case truly raw chicken saved, in water laps, in human laps, in fashion stools, towel wrapped, feels grippy, cool, in Nespresso boxes, tablecloth, as dinner, second, first, breakfast, third, lunch, meeting places. How do you count? In turns of pages, in swipes of stages, in paw prints, in eye glints, half closed, narrow goes, the arrow goes down, 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 faster shooting. Pains, liquid drains. How do you count? In collapsed back ends, in couch sleeps, next to friends, holding hands around the bend. How do you count? In desperate Sundays that become sure-footed Mondays. In one last night, that wouldn't be right. In a dozen phone calls. In no new patients, not even one who will appear and disappear. like the gradients. How do you count in cat-side towels, in pillow owls, in foxes brought into service as makeshift headrests, in fleeting bed rest? How do you count in jumps not made to beds unmade, in thresholds laid across on less manic Mondays, in heartbeats slower, in body breaths, in voices lost, in carries out back, in parries out front, more for us than her, no affront, in wherries stationary, in portions doled out, more, this, that, no, try less, this or that, laxatone, Stella and Chewy, ooey gooey. It's been weeks since you chased a greenie. How do you count? How do you count in brother hisses, in litter box misses, in back left, under weft, in right front, overtake, in full frontal sphinx poses, in sun-baked reposes, in shoulder sits, in face tips, in finger nips, in butter pats, in forepaw overlaps, in 6 toes, 4 hands, face rubs, hand claps, holding paws. The clappers know the storm she slows. The storm she slows. The love overflows, sweet and low. How do you count? In final repose, you count everything. Thank you. That's for Stormy, 20-year kitty who left us a week ago. Yeah. Thank you.
In high seas or in low seas, I'm gonna be your friend. I'm gonna be your friend. In high tide or in low tide, I'll be by your side. I'll be by your side.
There's a lot of love in that chat, in this room. Tom, Ellen, thanks for joining. Good to see your little boxes. And we've got 2 hands. We'll take Ellen first, then Wendy.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. So glad to be back with Story. Lisa, first of all, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to hear about your loss. Like, that hurts. But your tribute was so beautiful. And I had a question because I thought I heard something, but I wasn't sure I heard it. Did you say like pause, like P-A-U-S-E, and then pause, P-A-W-S?
I sure did. Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was nice, Lisa. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Ellen. I'm so glad you're here.
Wendy.
Hey, Lisa. I also having lost pets myself, I understand. And thank you so much for putting that into such a glorious piece of work. I mean, it really spelled it all out. And, you know, world rocked, a line drawn in the sand, we have no plan. Yeah, nobody has a plan when shit like that happens, right? It's just, you're there. And you never know when it's the last time. And that's something I actually think about a lot, unfortunately. And then just the repetition of how do you count? How do you count? And it can be, how do you count these wonderful, beautiful, good things, but how do you count these really crappy, horrible moments of missing? And you captured all of that, like the love and thankfulness of having the cat, but also the grief of losing Stormy, you know. And that was just, it was very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wendy. Such a beautiful reflection. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you.
Lisa Clapper, thank you. Thank you for bringing all of your sides to this place.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah. Tenderness. And I can't imagine anyone to follow a tender moment more perfectly than the grace of Sarah Salim.
Well, I'm sitting here. First, just Lisa, I know I said this in the chat, but that was so beautiful. And as someone who has been lucky to hear a number of your pieces, I'm just really moved by that version of expression. In this case, it was just incredible. And I'm just really letting that wash over me. So thank you for that sharing. And I am also sitting here thinking about the magic of story and themes. And tonight I gave myself permission to be halfway in the void and halfway in a little more planfulness. For some of you know that Molly and I had played with a musical form of expression that involves the entire void, where you just step into the void and you don't know what may come. And so I have played with that with story. But tonight I actually gave myself a subject and thought I would just see where that subject would take me. And as I think about the stories that we've heard about friendship and family and between worlds and connection and loss, I am astounded again. So the subject that I gave myself was my Egyptian grandmother, a woman named Soraya, who I actually know very little about, and I'm at the beginning of a quest. So on Sunday, I will leave, I live in the Bay, I will leave San Francisco or leave East Bay, get on a plane, go to Maine. So I love that Maine has already arrived in our chat once this today, to visit my family, my parents. And my parents are in the woods of Maine at the moment. My mother is recovering from a broken hip, and my father is sitting cooking, actually, which is pretty impressive for him. And it's a big deal. Our family has been through a lot in the last couple of years. There's been a bunch of health stuff and also some really rocky moments of, sort of rocking the actual foundations of, is this family? What is family? What choices do we make as family to be here or not? And we're on the other side of that. The family still looks the same, or the same people are choosing to show up and be together and call each other family. But one of the things that has happened in those years of tumultuousness is that a lot of ways that I interacted with my father in particular were really challenged. And one of the things I'm discovering is that it was hard. I said things to my dad. I asked questions I had never asked. It was really uncomfortable. And we're sort of in that tender newness of a new relationship forming in the aftermath of that. And what I'm discovering is that that relationship has potential for depth that I'm not sure I ever knew was possible. My dad, I think when I was growing up, my dad was with us, always around, but very consumed by work, right? In a way that I think a lot of the structures and institutions that we created asked people, and men in particular, often to step into that provider role, and was very emotionally absent. And that was very challenging for me because I have been told my whole life how much I look like my dad. I don't look anything like my mom or my sister. And so I had this relationship to this person who I look like, and yet had no, he would drive me home from school sometimes, and we would sit in the car for 45 minutes without speaking. And I just assumed that was my fault, right? I must not be the kind of person who can connect in this way with this person. I'm loving that this retelling is taking us here. Well, partly I'm realizing as I have done some of the work to find my way into that relationship in a different way, I'm discovering that along with that disconnection from my dad, there was a disconnection to the entire line that preceded him. And that includes my Egyptian grandmother, Soraya, who I have been told I look like, and who I overlapped with, and in fact, who is the reason I'm here. So her life was challenging. She was married to my grandfather when she was 17, and he was probably more than twice her age. And then unexpectedly, when my dad was 17, his father passed away, had a heart attack and dropped dead. And so she was left in a very male-dominated society with my father, who was 17, and with a 10-year-old, his younger brother, who had Tourette's, which is very unspoken about in Egyptian culture. It was not something that she had been prepared to deal with. And the stories I've heard are that she never, until she passed away, decades later, she never took his clothing out of the closet. She closed a room in the house and just never went into it. She could not handle that loss. But when I say that she's the reason I'm here, after my parents got married, and my mother is from Boston. My parents they moved to Egypt for the first couple of years of their marriage and lived with Soraya, with my grandmother. And she was sick at that point. She had gotten cancer. And a few years into that, my mom, who had thought she never wanted children, decided that she needed to bring life into this space and into this family and into this moment. And so decided to get pregnant. And I am the result of that decision. And I have no memories of Soraya, but I have seen some pictures, and I have heard a pretty ridiculous story about me making my way into her medicine cabinet and consuming some of her cancer pills, and then luckily throwing them all up. So, children's constitutions being pretty remarkable. But all of that I'm discovering that there is this desire in me as I get older, as I imagine, as I conceive of what it must have been like to be her in the apartment that actually my family moved back to Egypt when I was 12, and we moved into that apartment. So I have been in space, I have inhabited the same physicalness as this woman that I bear some resemblance to. And when I go back to Maine next week, my parents have spent a lot of time going through all the photos and just putting all the names and bringing them all together. And I have asked if we can go through them together. And so that is my story tonight. It's the beginning of a story, a beginning of my story with Soraya.
Sarah, thank you. There's something about closing a room in the house that struck me as in the themes tonight of identity and transition and discovery, and that the house is so symbolic of the self. What are the places that were closed to you that you get to walk into again? And what an amazing invitation. Beautiful. Claire, my synchronous sister.
Let me take my hand down, otherwise I'll get anxious. My hand's like, hang on. Sarah, thank you for bringing up the journey of ancestral reclaiming, reconnecting, and discovery, and it's such an intimate thing to do, and I can relate to it, and I'm so excited to hear and feel your pace around that decision. And I loved your reflection. I mean, there were a number of them that I loved, but the one where you said, I'm the result of that decision, to draw in a slightly kind of humorous, for me, the way you said it felt humorous, but it's a sobering thought that we're each kind of part of that thread of becoming that extends the family through space and time. And I just love the feeling of respect that I felt a witness to, and the specialness of the journey, in the meaning it has for you, in the way you shared it. So it's a sacred journey, and I'm really happy for you that you're able to do that.
Thank you so much, Claire. That's beautifully said. Good night, Olga. So good to be here with you.
Nancy.
Sarah, thank you, and thank Olga as well for really sharing a piece of your backstory. Because by reaching into the past and bringing it into our present as we listen, it allows for connection. And it reminds us of how our stories are so familiar to ourselves, but in sharing them, it makes us a little more alive by sharing them with others. And so it was just an honor to kind of witness you tell the story of your father and your links with your father and your grandmother. And anyway, so thank you for that authenticity and vulnerability.
Thank you, Nancy.
There's something very special about this space that we create together that allows us to play with whatever forms we're inspired to play with. And I would continue to encourage each of us. There's a wonderful woman, some of you in the community know her. Her name is Vanessa Verily, and she's a healer and an amazing, beautiful artist. And she had a variety show years ago. And her challenge to people in this variety show was that if you were an expert or, a proclaimed artist in a certain vocation, you had to come to this variety show and do something that you weren't great at. So if you were a professional ballerina, you'd have to play the flute. If you were a guitarist and a vocalist, you'd have to juggle, whatever it might be. And I think of this space as having that kind of potential too, right? Like there's the, oh my God, it's my first one. I just want to come and check it out. I don't know if I'd ever share a story. Ray, I'm not talking about you at all in this situation. And then there's like the third time you come and you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell a story, and you pick the story that you feel the most comfortable with, and you stretch into a new space, but with maybe something you're holding comfortably. And then something starts to happen and you start to bring different parts of your voice. And I think, Lisa, you did that beautifully tonight. Really beautifully. A different tempo, a different timbre, and with your authentic, amazing skill. But just, we saw a different part of your heart, and that was really, really special. So yeah, that would be my, everyone's obsessed with these challenges lately. Have you seen these on the social medias? There's like the 5-day lose 10 pounds challenge. There's the eat all the carrots challenge. There's all these challenges. So I don't want to create another challenge. An inquiry that you can sit with. How close to the void do I want to stand? How safe do I need to be? How brave can I be? Where can I stretch and leap? How can I make different sounds with this vessel that I am? How does my body move in a new way in front of people? This is such a safe space to play. So that is my invitation to you. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful. Claire, Lisa, Olga, we miss you already. Sarah, beautiful, beautiful. And all of you,
Molly,
creating this space to come together. In closing, I would like to offer. Sarah, did you have a thing?
I had the one thought.
Yeah.
May I show a picture of Soraya?
Please.
I
And
don't think anyone's seen this. I'm going to just share my screen. I think.
Yeah,
oh, no,
hold on. Can you do it?
You have to let me. I think you have to let me.
Okay, hold on,
Right.
hold on. Here we are.
We'll make the magic of internets work. Okay.
Go, Sarah.
Okay, here. Yes, I will continue. Yes, there we go. That.
Hello. That is glorious.
It's an, again, these stories of where we come from. Okay, now there we go. Thank you.
Soraya.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Molly, for holding such a lovely, lovely space.
It's my pleasure. And I love that you think it's lovely with all of the technical challenges we had at the beginning. But you know what? Despite it all, look at us. We did it. Hey, one of the things and one of the reasons I'm collaborating with Sarah right now on this project is that it's so critical for each of us to spend time with our own bodies and our own sensations so that we can relearn the language that our body has been speaking to us in, that we've just forgotten how to decode. I threw that in there for you, Sarah. Yes. So you can see on the website, there's a couple of options to drop in. We're in a cohort right now for November of folks who are going through this process with us. And we realize that some of you might want to just dip your toe in and play with us. And so we're making it really easy and accessible to do that. Yes, totally dropping in. Yeah. It feels so important. So please come play with us, and please keep coming to Story. I know it's cold and it's dark and we just want to go cuddle up, but you can come and cuddle. All right. Beautiful story sharers, beautiful, beautiful humans. Mwah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Come play with us. It is really fun.
It's true.
Bye.
Good night.
Love you all.
Love
Hey,
you.
Hey, Chris. You get to see your face now, Chris.
You're so cute.
You're a real human. Dina.
You are real. Oh.
I know. I just
Hi,
wanted to
everybody.
stay and hug you all.
Now it's just the family left. My
Yeah.
family.
Yo, what's up?
Dina, your music is great. I love the music in the transitions. That was so
Dina.
nice.
Yeah, that
Oh
was
my
great.
God, love that.
Let's do it from now on, I think. Like before the
Yeah, I agree.
reflections, we go to music.
Yeah, it adds
Yeah.
this
It's
nice,
good.
like
It's
just
good. It takes a
professional
moment.
thing.
It's like,
Professional. Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. Yeah, I love that.
thank you.
Yeah. Well handled on the crazy robot alien virus. It's also
Yeah.
could have been
Well,
the best
it was
beginning
very
of a story
contagious.
ever. Oh my God, Molly, your ad-libbing was hysterical. I was between the devices, or I would have jumped on to be like, yes, I think this is our sixth report. You know, we're like, like, it would have been such a good story.
Oh my goodness. This is our 6th report. We're responsible. We're required to turn her in.
100%. You know,
Hear a knock on the
we've
door
got an
shortly.
underground cell operating to find out if there's any sentience in the what they want. Anyway, okay, you're amazing as always.
Well, I love you all. We
Love you all.
finished up before 7:15.
Rocking.
I just
Good,
gotta
good job,
say-
team.
Sleep tight.
Bye.
I'm gonna see you in a second, Chris.